welcome to Good Games Spawn Point, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Hex Sparkle.
And I'm MC Bajo.
And I am DJ D.A.R.R.E.N.
Get ready to pump up the jam because we're doing a music special.
That's right, Hex. We're getting the band back together in Rock Band 4.
Monday you can fall apart. Tuesday, Wednesday, break my heart. Look, I've been practicing my drum rolls.
Keep practicing, Darren.
We'll also be working on our fancy footwork in Just Dance 2016.
Oh, I've been practicing my dance moves too.
Darren, that just looks like you're drumming. Look, how about you just give us some trivia instead?
Oh, affirmative. G up that grey matter, spawnlings. It's time for Darren's Challenge. Today, I'm asking you this. The fairy companion, Navi, features in which Legend of Zelda game? Answer at the end of the show.
Hey, listen. I know the answer. But first, let's hear some news with Goose.
Oh.
Thanks guys, Goose here with all the Spawn Point news. The annual Screen It competition has announced its winners for 2015, highlighting the best student creations in both short films and gaming. Almost 2,000 students submitted creations this year, which were judged by a panel of experts, including Spawn Point's own Bajo and Hex. D.A.R.R.E.N Primary School in Victoria won Best Primary Video Game with Novo, while Belmont High School in Victoria picked up the award for Best Secondary Video Game with Night Game. Hobbyist inventor Martin Rainsford has devised a way to use a Nintendo Wiimote to aim a functional laser cutter. The invention takes advantage of the Wiimote's inbuilt camera to detect the laser's position as it cuts. Rainsford happened upon the idea while he was trying to figure out a way to send the laser's position wirelessly to his laptop. He then remembered a Wiimote already did exactly that. I wonder if Darren could build something like that for me. Anyway, that's all the news for this week. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Goose. All right, guys, it's time to bust out our best moves in Just Dance 2016.
It's too hard to sleep. I got the sheets on the floor, nothing on me.
Just Dance 2016 is the latest in a long line of dance games. The premise is simple. You mirror the moves of the dancer on screen, and the more accurately you follow, the more points you get.
Typically, these games are best played with camera-based motion control, like a Kinect or a PlayStation Eye, because it requires you to use your entire body. But just like in Just Dance 2015 and Just Dance Now, you can also use your smartphone as a controller with a companion app.
Yeah, and they seem to be really pushing this feature, maybe a little too much. Because many dancers seem to favour right arm movements more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice way to make the game playable on lots of platforms or with more people. But if you're really keen on dance games, you'd probably use motion control anyway. So it feels like the game is doing a disservice to what would be its biggest fan base.
Yeah, and personally, I'm always worried about throwing my precious phone away and breaking it. You know, when the spirit takes me, Hex, I can't control the moves.
It gets wild.
It gets wild.
That's what you're into, then go ahead and move along.
Sorry, Darren! It's also odd that they changed the dancers to cater to smartphone controls, as this game makes greater use of the camera than previous ones.
Affirmative, Bajo. You can compete against other players by recording yourself in World Video Challenge, dance to videos of random players in Community Remix, watch people from around the world in JDTV, or record lip-sync music videos in Showtime. With so many features that require a camera, it's a shame they haven't also made the dancers more versatile and whole body. However, I personally like the smartphone option, as the Kinect still has trouble recognising my more robotic frame.
Darren. Well, unfortunately, these new features are on the whole pretty lackluster. The Showtime music videos were particularly terrible, and whilst it was occasionally fun seeing other dancers in JDTV, it's just not something I do regularly.
Yeah, me neither. Plus, the dance quests didn't feel competitive. It's just too easy against the AI bots. I spent most of my time in the dance party mode, or the sweat mode if I felt like a challenge.
Affirmative. And while it seems like there's a lot on offer, there's roughly the same number of songs included as the previous games, with the option to subscribe to a special streaming service, Just Dance Unlimited, to unlock over 150 extra songs. However, most of these are from previous games, and the fee seems rather expensive.
Yeah, unless they're constantly adding new songs to the mix, it seems like a high price to pay for content you may already own. And even worse, I couldn't find some of my favourite songs from previous games.
We also found that songs from Just Dance Unlimited buffered a lot, even with a good internet connection. This breaks the flow of your dance, and it was enough to just make me want to go and play songs from the base game instead.
Yeah, me too, but those songs leave a lot to be desired. Looking through, there were very few songs that I was really excited to play, and of those, less than half had a fun routine to go with it.
Just move yourself.
We have been quite negative with this review so far, but when this game is good, oh, it's good. The energy is high, the moves feel solid, and you just groove out to a bangin' tune.
However, Just Dance 2016 contains some of the worst dance routines we've ever seen, such as this incredibly boring and cringe-worthy Angry Birds one.
Oh, that's terrible. Guys, I was looking forward to playing Under the Sea because, you know, I wanted to feel like a mermaid, but it was just awful.
Under the sea, when the sardine begin to begin, it's music to me.
It required a large seat to enjoy, and it was just really odd and not much fun at all. Other than that, though, this is pretty polished. It's classic Just Dance. The bright colours, crazy costumes, and constant praise will be very familiar to fans of the series. It's just unfortunate that they haven't really developed the Just Dance formula.
Affirmative. What are you two going to score this?
Well, unless you're planning on forking out for Just Dance Unlimited, this just isn't worth it for the main game alone. I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Yeah, for me, these games are all about the music, and I just don't like the music here, so I'm giving it 2 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Now it's time for another coding corner with Goose and Julian. Roll the tape, Kerry.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Coding Corner. I'm Goose.
I'm Julian.
Today we're going to finish the Tank Wars game that we've already started building.
Last time, we made the player-controlled tank and its bullet. This time, we'll be making the enemy tank.
The all-important enemies. To begin, open up the project we were working on last week in Scratch and select Sprite 3. Start a stack with a When Green Flag Clicked block. From Looks, add a Switch Costume to Blank block. Set the drop-down to Costume 1. Below that, from Motion, add a Go to XY block and set both values to -100.
Add a forever loop. Inside it, from Motion, insert a Point Towards block. Set the drop down to Sprite 1. Below that, still inside the forever loop, create 2 if-then clauses. Get their triggers from Sensing. Set the first to dark grey and the second to light grey. Inside the first if-then, from Motion, put a Move -10 steps block. In the second, a Move 2 steps block. This stack of code is now complete. It ensures that the AI tank is always pointing and moving towards the player's tank and stops it from driving through walls.
Now let's start another stack with a When Green Flag Clicked block. Below that, put a Forever loop. Inside it, place a If-Then clause. For the trigger, go to Sensing and insert a Touching Blank block. Set the drop-down to Sprite 2. Inside the If-Then loop, from Control, insert a Stop Blank block and set it to Other Scripts in Sprite. Below that, from Looks, switch Costume to Explosion. Then from Sound, play Sound Recording Boom until done. Then from Control, stop all.
This second stack makes the AI tank blow up when your shot hits it. Now let's start the third and final stack for the enemy tank with another When Green Flag Clicked block. Add a forever loop below it. Inside that, add an if-then clause. From sensing, set the trigger to touching sprite 1. Inside the if then, from control, insert a stop blank block. Set the drop down to other scripts in sprite.
Below that, from looks, add a switch costume to block. Set it to costume 2. Then from sound, insert a play boom block. Finally, from control, insert a stop all block. This third stack makes the AI tank blow up when you ram into it. Of course, since the enemy tank is always shooting right at you, this is easier said than done.
Onto sprite 4. This is the AI tank's shot. Start with a one green flag clicked block. Below that, from motion, go to sprite 3 block. Below that, from looks, a set blank effect to blank block. Set the drop down to ghost and the value to 100. Below that, add a forever loop. Inside it, place a wait blank seconds block. Set it to 2.
Below that, from looks, insert another set ghost effect to block. Set the value to 0. Below that, from motion, go to sprite 3. Below that, from motion, point towards sprite 1. Then from sound, play sound recording pew.
Below that, insert a repeat until blank loop. For the clause, insert a blank or blank hexagon from operators. For the left clause, from sensing, insert a touching color dark grey hexagon. For the right hand clause, from sensing, a touching edge hexagon. Inside the repeat until loop, from motion, a move 7 steps block.
Then, after the conclusion of the repeat until loop, from looks, a set ghost effect to 100 block. This stack of code controls the AI tank's shot, making it fire every 2 seconds, and ensuring it doesn't go off the edge of the window or through solid objects.
Now onto the 5th and final sprite. Sprite 5 is your targeting crosshair. This one's easy. Start with a when green flag clicked block from events. Then from control, a forever loop. Inside that loop, from motion, add a go to blank block. Set the drop down to mouse pointer, and you're done. The game is complete.
Now to give it a test. As you can see, your tank constantly moves towards the mouse pointer, and the enemy tanks constantly move towards you. Since you always fire directly ahead, you have to aim and fire quickly, then dash out of the way before the enemy tank can shoot you. Ingenious and made with so little code.
In a video game, simple rules can often lead to complex results. This effect is sometimes called emergence.
So making a good game doesn't mean writing loads and loads of code, it's about including the most interesting rules and challenges.
Exactly. That's why tinkering with code is so much fun. A few simple changes can have a huge effect on how the game plays.
In the lesson notes, which we've included here, you can find a more complex version of the game, or you could try making a version yourself.
Remember, anyone can have fun learning to code.
Inspiring stuff, Julian. Well, that's it for this episode of Coding Corner. Goose out.
Julian out.
Thinking of a game just about me, just Goose everywhere. Can you help me with that?
No, Darren.
No, Darren. All right, let's get to work.
Okay, let's get started with this one from Extremely Annoyed Person, who is in Sydney, New South Wales. Well, they sound really annoyed.
Yeah, one might say extremely annoyed.
Hi, GGSP. If you don't answer this question, I will loose it. When you were reviewing Minecraft Story Mode, you did not tell the spawnlings about the fact that when you have to pay $8 whole for the game, then you have to pay another $8 for the next episode, and then another $8 for the next episode, and the next, and the next, and the next. Good game. I have lost it. Answer! Gah! P.S. Has Darren or Goose ever had a sip from the Noob Cup? And just when will they release Pokemon Go for iPad? I am not having a go at you, but I have lost it. Answer all my questions above.
Okay, settle down there, extremely annoyed person. So yes, maybe we didn't specifically mention the price of every individual episode in our review. But to be fair, the price varies from platform to platform.
And it depends on whether you buy the episodes individually or as a season. Usually you end up saving a few dollars if you buy them all at once, rather than buying them one at a time.
But yes, if you buy the first episode, you aren't getting access to every other episode, which is a pretty standard payment model for episodic games.
As for if Goose or Darren have ever drunk gunk from the Noob Cup? Yes, they have. It's caused Darren to robo-spew many times, in fact.
Yeah, usually Goose has to clean it up. As for when Pokemon Go is coming out, well, all they've said is it's due to come out in 2016. We don't know when in 2016, though, so it could be coming out in just a few months, or it might not be out for almost a whole year.
Yeah, but we'd guess it would be coming out earlier in the year rather than later, though. But we'll keep you updated when we know more. But let's move on to this one from Worsted Bog 922, who is in Newcastle in New South Wales.
921 Worsted Bog usernames must have already been taken.
That's true.
So you had to do 992.
Or 992 or 922 was the year that Worsted Bog was born.
Ah.
Hey guys! Big fan of the show, and I just wanted to know whatever happened to that game called Cube World, because I really want to play it, but I heard from a friend that you can't get it anymore. Is this true? Thanks, if you reply.
Cube World. It had so much promise, and it's made such little progress.
Yeah, after we looked at an early version way back in 2013, there have essentially been no updates to the game, and the developer has said very little about it. A lot of people assume development has stopped completely.
Oh! Hello, Bajo and Hex speaking.
Hi.
Bajo, Hex, I'm calling to tell you that I was right.
What about Darren?
Cube World. Back in 2013, I specifically said that it would take years to perfect this game. And if you look on your calendar, you'll see that it is currently 2015, and indeed has been years.
But Darren, the issue here is that you can't actually get Cube World anymore. The only way you could get the game was from the website, but when you go to the shop on the site, it just says the shop is currently disabled, so you can't even buy it, finished or not.
Yeah, and it's been down for ages from what we can tell.
Well, the developer did recently break his silence, and he said that he was still working on it and would keep working on it until it was finished.
Well, even so, Darren, if you go 2 years without updating your game or talking to your players, it doesn't inspire much confidence.
Well, Hex, the developer also said the shop will be back after the next update. These things take time. For humans. And as we've said before, you always have to be a little bit careful with games in early access. You never know if they'll ever be finished.
Yes, well, I'd say unless you want to play the game as it is right now, you're probably better off waiting to see if it gets finished anyway, assuming it turns out to be good.
Although, who knows when that will be? I mean, hopefully it's not 2 more years away.
Yes, hopefully, but anyway, on that note, I think we're out of time for this week. If you'd like to ask us a question, you can go here and send it in.
I'd just like to say again, I was right.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks,
I was right.
Yep. Everyone's right. Once in a blue moon, right?
Yeah.
Right? When you're wrong 100 times, you're bound to be right eventually, right?
Except I'm right a little bit more often than you are. Guys, I'm not so sure about this. Last time we tried to start a band, it didn't go so well. All right, you ready, guys?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you come in.
1, 2, 3, go.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we all start together.
Yeah, catch up.
1, 2, 3, 4. No!
It'll be alright, Hex. All we need to do is rebrand. Come up with a new name, a new theme.
Ooh, how about The Spawn?
Oh, how about Darren and the Spawn?
The Spawn it is. Glam us up, Darren.
Charging my glam rate.
Let's rock.
I can hear the blue one.
Tuesday, Wednesday, heart attack. Thursday, never looking back. It's Friday, I'm in love. Oh, sing solo, Bajo.
Yes, Rock Band has reunited after being on hiatus since 2010, making its debut on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Have you ever been close to tragedy or been close to folks who have? Rock Band made a name for itself by adding in drums and vocal parts to create a full band experience along with the purely guitar-based gameplay that Guitar Hero had popularized.
And not much has changed with this outing, has it? They have added in a new freestyle guitar solo mechanic, as well as a new campaign mode. But they've removed online multiplayer, which is such a shame.
Well, yeah, but I feel like most people just play this locally with friends anyway, so it's not a deal breaker.
That is true, and it's still one of the best local multiplayer games out there.
Saturday night in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch.
But other than that, this is pretty much exactly the same game that Rock Band has always been, where you strum, hit, or sing along with notes on the screen.
Well, I'd say that's actually one of its greatest strengths. I mean, Rock Band is a tried and true formula, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
That's true, and the freestyle solos are pretty fun. They basically let you go wild and play whatever you like in certain sections of songs. And more often than not, they manage to make it sound pretty good.
They do have a rough guide to follow if you want, though. They'll suggest holding a note, a speed to strum at, or whether to play high or low notes. And if you follow their suggestions, you'll keep your score multiplier up.
It does make you feel like a bit of a guitar god when you string it all together and pull off an epic solo, doesn't it?
I also enjoyed the little bit of narrative and choice they've woven into the campaign now, too. Essentially, you create a band, choose their home city, and then start off playing small gigs. As you play more, you'll build up fans and get the opportunity to go on tours, where you're given a choice. For example, you may choose to travel using an agent who can get you more money, or use an old van and stay on your fans' couches and earn more fans.
Yeah, there's some nice light RPG mechanics to the campaign, where you build your fan base and get cash to buy new and better gear. I was a bit sad that I couldn't choose any Aussie cities to start our band in. The closest I could find was French Sydney.
You mean Paris?
Yes. What did you guys think of the set list?
I thought it was a pretty average set list compared to their previous games, to be honest. But it's understandable, after 3 games and 1,500 songs released as DLC, there aren't a lot of big songs left to add.
I think it makes sense to browse the massive downloadable content library and pick a few favourite songs that you love. You'll have a lot more fun when you build a set list that actually speaks to you.
Yeah, but I would have loved if there was a way to play a sample of a track before you buy it. Often songs I like end up not being that much fun to play, and you only figure that out once you've already bought it.
However, the developer must be commended for doing their best to make sure that everything you owned from the old games, from your instruments to your DLC, still works with this new version on your new consoles. Conditions apply. Generally speaking, as long as you stick with the same console family, you'll be fine. So if you owned anything Rock Band related on an Xbox 360, it works on Xbox One. And if you owned it on PS3, it works on PS4. Just don't go trying to get 360 instruments and DLC working on PS4 or vice versa.
Yes, but if you do want to buy the game and all the instruments, so the guitar, the microphone, the drums, it's going to set you back about $500.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? And then when you consider how much it can cost to get the DLC you want, Rock Band can end up being a big investment.
Well, the developers have said that they don't intend to release any more Rock Band games this generation. Instead, they will simply use this as a platform where they can add new features and game modes as time goes on. So hopefully it's an investment that lasts quite a while.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what modes they add as time goes on. But overall, guys, this is the classic Rock Band experience, just brought forward for a new generation of consoles and finely tuned. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Yeah, it's good to have the band back together, isn't it, guys? This is still one of the best games to rock out with a group of friends, so I'm giving it 4 out of 5 as well. Well, we are almost at the end of the show. It's time for the answer to your challenge, Darren.
Affirmative. At the start of the show, I asked you this. The fairy companion, Navi, features in which Legend of Zelda game? And the answer is... Ocarina of Time!
Navi was super useful, but also a bit annoying.
Yeah, but you know why she was called Navi? Because she helped Link to navigate.
Wonderful fact, Hex.
Next week in the show, we're actually going to go on a whole new Zelda adventure in Triforce Heroes.
Now, this game's actually a 3-player cooperative game. What are we going to do, Hex? How are we going to review that?
It is a tough one.
Yeah, maybe I can play 2 at once, or...
We could take turns playing the third player.
Me! I could help!
All right, Darren, you can help us.
Well, until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.
Darren out.